Hello folks, welcome. Debian 12 Bookworm, Xfce Desktop 418. I'll talk a little bit about the new Thunar bells and whistles under the hood if you haven't discovered all those settings yet. And a little bit about medium to advanced concepts when it comes down to working with throwing stuff into containers, folders and files in other words. Instead of having them scattered all over the place, we can throw them in a nice container using either compression or no compression. So I'll be talking about also using the archiver tool, Xarchiver, and a lot of people find this cumbersome to use. Well, some people do, but I'm going to be showing those concepts using your file manager only. Filming in 1920 by 1080, welcome folks. Adjust your YouTube player accordingly if necessary. If you'd like to subscribe, icon in the right hand corner with yellow brackets. So File Manager Thunar, let's talk about some options for you. So I have 3 containers that look like a bunch of eggs in boxes. So I'll talk about these in a second. So Kim is our user for today. It's just a made up name. And this is Thunar 418.4. I love the logo. So Xfce desktop environment. I am going to first make mention that there are a couple of tools that you may be aware of, maybe not. F3 is one of them. F3 does what for me? Well, first of all, I can click on this USB device over here and use this screen over here for Kim's home folders. This will be USB, Kim's home folder, F3. You can also move that field in one direction or another. That's all up to you. And the icons can be resized independently. Okay. If you have never seen any of my videos, and I highly encourage that you subscribe if you are never a subscriber, I'm just holding down my control key while using my computer mouse scroll wheel. While holding that control key down, I scroll to make them bigger or smaller. Not a big deal. I'm not a fond of touchpads. All right, so another thing is this area here is Control B. You can turn it off. Control B, Control E is another method. And I'll show you the icon sizes in a second. Now you see it, now you don't. Control B. All right, so I'm going to turn this F3 off. F3 is, again, split view. It's a new concept. So another new concept you may not have discovered yet is I'm going to make these really large. And then I'm going to click and make these really small and switch between the two. So retaining the folder or directories icon sizes can be achieved by Edit, Preferences, and turning this feature off. It is off by default. It is off by default, so click that if you like that feature. Remembering view settings of each folder. The side pane, the size of these icons are controlled by this. Okay, now that's a 48. The tree pane is the other mode. So if I do the Control B, I'll need to click out for a second. So Control B turns that off. Control B is back on. Control E is the other one. And Control E. You don't have to remember these. You can just go to the view and you can do the side pane and click. There's your keyboard shortcuts right there. So a lot of people like this feature. So while I'm in here, I have 3 devices. Well, the file system, which is represented by root, is automatic, right? Well, we have Debian 12 installed, so we must have a file system. So I have a USB connected device which has 2 folders, Bob's stuff and Kim's stuff. Our user for today's Kim is just a made up name. We can think about these concepts I'm about to show you also with poor man's file sharing, or poor woman's file sharing, however you want to, poor person's file sharing, how's that? Or we can just call it backups. All right, so there's nothing in here right now. Oh, sorry, Kim has stuff in here. She has 4 baskets. Looks like 2 dates. One is from this 6/18 and 6/19. All right, so one is in compressed format and one is not. I have the same concept here. I have 3 baskets. So when you're creating these kind of containers, we can throw files and folders into them. And when you throw them on devices like that, you can have a whole bunch of these instead of a bunch of scattered files. You know, you can take your whole structure here and create it on a USB device. That's not a problem. But that means you'll have X amount of folders in here. And sometimes you don't know how old they are. When you're doing stuff like that, they're in a nice organized container. You can tell that was done on 618 and that's 619. And what's in here? Files in these boxes, these containers. All right, so I'll show you how to do this toward the end of the video, but this is a total of everything. What's in this box? That includes hidden stuff. It has dots in front of it, periods. This is quite large. This is 1 gigabyte. These two, on the other hand, are identical. One is compressed and the other one's not. That one's 316 megabytes, or MIBs, and this one's 342. So this is not compressed, and this is compressed. What I can also do is we can do the poor man's file sharing and think about the concept of compression and not compressed. So I'm going to simulate that this is somebody else's computer. We'll call it Bob's, I don't know, or Ron. Ron has a computer. He just installed Debian 12, Xfce. He has no music. And Kim was nice enough to have some music in one of these containers that she's going to let this guy borrow. So we're going to use F3 for this concept. We can also use 2 windows if you like. But I'm going to move this over to here for a second. And then we're going to go here. Now, this new guy, the new kid in the family, doesn't have any music. And Kim is going to let him borrow some music. So I have 2 backups in here. Actually, this one is, we'll use the 618. So there's a tar with a whole bunch of folders that she backed up, and also this one is compressed. I'm going to show you the compressed version first. Now you're probably saying, I know this, you just hit that and it extracts the files. You can certainly do that, but I'm not going to bother extracting all these files into his music folder. I'm going to just do a couple of them, which you can. So I'm going to click that and hold down the control key and then click the other 2. Then I'm going to let go of the control key and drag these over. Now you may not think anything is happening, but what it's doing is uncompressing, and then it's going to install the folders. It's now finished. And that process took maybe a couple seconds, right? All right, I'm going to wipe these clean. So I'm going to close this one down and move over to this one. This is the same container, but it's not compressed. This is tar, tape archive. I'll use the same concept here. Click, control key down, click, click, and let go of the control key and drag all 3. Why this was faster is because the system didn't need to uncompress them. These are coming from a USB drive. This is going into a different computer possibly. Possibly. Because Kim was being nice to share that with a household member here. We're pretending. So I'm going from USB to internal folders here. Okay, that's one concept. And I'm not extracting all of them, am I? No. So I'm going to turn this off. F3. We could also think about doing this, if you like. If you've never done this before. Make a smaller box and hit Control N as in Nancy. It should make an identical box. And then you can also do the same concept here. I will use this one. I just want one document out of here, which would be, let's say, this Excalibur dartboard. I did need to extract all of these. All right, so this is Xarchiver, if you haven't thought about that. And I'm going to be showing you a little different concept of using that tool instead of doing it this way. If you haven't learned how to use this tool this way, you may prefer the file manager. But again, you would start by creating something, and you need to answer some questions like the name and what kind. And then you're going to hit create, and then you're going to add some files and folders. Okay, so that process takes a couple of steps. What I'm about to show you here is I'm going to be doing this just using your file manager. All right, so I don't really need that. I just wanted to show you that as an example. I pulled one file out of that USB drive. So let's go back to here, make the screen a little bit bigger, and I'm going to recreate all this stuff. Okay, so I have, I could move these over to here, but I think I'm going to make fresh copies. All right, I'll show you toward the end how you can back up your total home folder, including hidden stuff. All right, so using your file manager only, again, this is Thunar 4.18.4, we can click on individual folders, or we can add folders if we hold the control key down. So if I do 3, right click, and create an archive, it's going to be using the same tool, and the default probably is going to be zip on your machine the first time you use it. I'm going to call this one X1. It's just something I wanted to use. All right, so you can probably see that it's going to be taking a while for doing this X1 7Z. So it's taking these 3 and throwing it into a container or a nice box. It kind of looks like eggs in there. So I'm using the same theme that came with the system, by the way. So it's finished. I'm going to leave all 3 of these though and do the same thing. Right click, create an archive, but we're going to use tar this time. Tar is not compressed. All right, I just called it documents tar. If you want me to do this again, I'm going to click the same folder. So it's documents, music, and pictures, right? Documents, music, and pictures. Right click, create an archive. This time we'll call it, I don't know, X something, X5, whatever name I want to give it. Usually probably you want to put something that makes sense to you. Maybe even the date. But you see how fast it did that compared to this one. So let's compare these. Do they have the same amount of files? They do. Okay, this is 5x, this is 1.7. The same amount of files. All right, let's take a look at the properties. 247 MIBs, or raw bytes 259. This one is 241, so this one is compressed. 7-zip archive, tar archive, tape archive. Tar's been around a long time. And tar's been around since the Unix days. Anyways, tar ball is where a lot of folks call these. They throw files into a container. All right. Now, if you want to select all of your visible files, Control A. Another way of doing this is I'm going to make them a little smaller so they'll be all in a row. Click and hold your mouse, your right button if you're using a regular mouse, and just drag across. Right click, create archive. We're going to use tar first. Let's just see how quick this will do this. So we're going to call this backup 6, what is today's date? 19? 24. And I'll add the word tar on the end so you know it's a tar backup. It's done. Using the same files that are currently highlighted, right click, it doesn't matter which one I right click on, create an archive. We're going to use 7-zip with the same backup concept. Backup, and I'll change the ending to 7Z. It has to have a different file name. So this is going to be compressing with 7-zip. And you can see that it takes longer to do this. A lot longer. So depending on how many files you have, when you are doing compression is however long it takes. You also have different compressions. I will show that to you in a second. You can see how long it's taking. And then we're going to compare again. Because we're doing a total backup of all of our home folders, home directories of Kim's visible files, not invisible. I will also show you how to do hidden files and folders toward the latter part. So let's find out what the bits and bytes are on here. All right, 371, 347. So obviously this is the tar. So again, with these tar backups, you can throw them on different devices, internal drives, external drives, that kind of thing. You can use that for poor man's file sharing if the files are not well private, and put them on these USB devices and share that among your household. Or you can use it for backup purposes. Would you leave your backup on this drive and not put one on the USB? I would not recommend it. I would, if you want to leave it on the same device, that's fine, but I would also make a second copy on something that is not part of your booted in drive. Let's put it that way. You can never have enough backups. And I'll show you some examples of a lot of people never think about this. But more importantly, we can take one file out of here if we don't need to extract all of them. So if it is a picture, I can just pull one out of there. Okay, I'm just throwing it around here. So that one's that one. I'll toss this back in here. We can also think about the concept of multiples. I don't know if I have anything in downloads. Nope, good. We can do multiples. Instead of extracting everything, I just want a couple of pictures, and we can sort this differently too. Okay, so I'm going to do 1. We'll do 13 and 15. How am I selecting these? Well, I selected that first, then I hold down the control key to select the other ones, and then I let go of the control key and drag these. So now I'm copying 4 things out of this, well, this container. It doesn't matter where that container is, if it's on this drive or this drive, because I can also do that way. Except if I want to do it that way, I have the choice of F3, open that container here, or I can do it this way. I can go here and click this over here. This is the same device. This is Kim's home directory. This is Kim's download folder. I'll pull up another one out of the compressed side. These again are compressed with Xfce. We'll use the same concept. I just don't have thumbnails. I don't have number 2, so I will pull number 2 out. And if I have multiples, then I can scroll down, and let's say I wanted 29 and 31 and maybe 25 to go with it. Let go of the control key, drag all 3. So we have downstairs, we have extra stuff. Remember, you can resize on the fly, or you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can also change the box size. And we can also resize this. And then move, I'm going to close this. And then do a Control N with 2 boxes. And then we can drag and drop. They're currently the same, but I can do it this way. Or I could do this way. And I can also turn off F3 on this screen, so it's not confusing, and then click Downloads here. So whether I'm replacing an album from here, USB stick, poor man's backup, or I should say poor man's file sharing, we can just do 1. This is Xfce, so it will take a second to uncompress and transfer. Versus this one here is a regular tar, which will be faster. We're doing Beatles. See, it's almost instantaneous. You'll still have to wait until the drive finishes. And anytime you're doing stuff like that with large files, you make sure you hit the eject button, because sometimes your drive, especially some of these USB sticks don't have LEDs on them. You make sure that it is done finishing copying, or you may end up with weird effects. So when you're ejecting, it'll tell you if it's still in process, is what I'm getting at. All right, so for the folks that want to see a total home folder backup, I will go and I'll just use a windowed environment. So as you can see with these tar files, they're very, very very containers. They're very flexible. You can throw in one folder or many. And you can put them on different devices too. And they come in handy, especially when you're replacing things. I don't know about you, but occasionally we delete things by accident. One JPEG is in the trash. And then we delete the trash, not realizing what we're deleting. It's gone, right? My one JPEG is missing. That's okay, I have a backup of it here, and I have a backup of it here. So if I wanted to do this this way, F3, I can just open up my pictures folder in one place or another. Okay, I want to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to pull out the tar one, it's faster. And we're looking for one JPEG. So I'm going to you can click on this thing and it reorganizes your files. And I'll throw that one there and my one JPEG has been restored. That's one of the reasons that these containers come in handy. All right, now we're going to get back on topic. I'm going to wipe these out of here. I already have copies of them in here. So, or at least Kim does. And we're going to do a Control A to select all. We can also do it a different way. We can do it this way. However, what I'm going to do now is Control H. Control H just turned on a whole bunch of things. Whatever you have in your home folder is what is being displayed, including the hidden stuff. It has periods in front of it. All right, I show hidden files and folders when I talk about my videos on how to install extra mouse cursors or mouse pointers. Because normally that is installed on dot icons on just about every Linux system. But in this case, we're doing backups. So this particular folder can be enormous sometimes. And a lot of your web browser material, you know, when you're surfing, go into these cache folders. A lot of folks don't clear out their histories and they can be enormous. But more importantly, I want to do a backup of everything you see on the screen. That would be a Control A. And then I'm going to right click and create an archive. Now, I don't dare use 7Z because we'll be here a while. So I'm going to use tar. It's a little quicker. I'm just going to use the month and the year on it. So 624 is a little cryptic looking, but this will be a tar archive. Okay, so that is now done, and I'm going to hit Control H, and now you don't see them hidden files anymore. However, they are contained in here. So let me resize this box so you can see the stuff in there. I have the Born Again Shell history. I have that .cache folder, period, cache, .cache. I have everything in the home folder in here. How big do you think this will be? It's 1.1 gigabytes, roughly. So most people do not need these kind of backups. You know, going back to Kim's stuff, this is more normal. You know, you're doing your documents, you're doing your music, your pictures, your whatever. And keep in mind, I can extract all of them or pull individual ones out. I can even do it here on the same device. This is on my USB stick. Sorry, USB hard drive in this case. Or I could go the other way. Or I can grab a piece of music, just one song, and throw it there. These come in handy, these little nice containers, for two reasons, especially when you have them on USB devices. You can create extra folders or directories, Bob's, Kim stuff, if you don't have private information, of course. Then you can just pull out one item, throw it on the desktop, or in the folders. You can use split view for this. You can use two windows for this. I'll resize this again. Control N is in Nancy, makes an identical box, and you can have them side by side and transfer stuff. So you can make that USB, make that downloads, and Kim's gonna give the other user some extra files that she doesn't like, some pictures maybe. Or maybe 2 more. Or even 3 in a row. So you can use this kind of file manipulation rather easily. So a lot of different verbiage, yes. You know, a lot of you folks are from different parts of the world. So am I. English is my second language. But more importantly, I try to make things as simple as possible on most of my videos, if not all. And I do go with very simple concepts, sometimes into more advanced, if you're not a subscriber. But I think anyone can do this. Thank you for watching.